In the world of mountain biking today, it's safe to say we spend a good chunk of our day being marketed to. From $1,200 forks and grabby colorways to $2,000 group sets resembling jewelry, there's no shortage of products aiming to drain our bank accounts. At times, this barrage of product placement can leave us feeling insecure about our bike builds and anxious to spend our hard-earned money. I should know, as I've had more fancy bikes and parts than we have time for today. Recently, I decided that enough is enough. It's time that I take a step back to find out exactly how much bike we really need to enjoy our rides. After all, Cure Cycling has always been about minimizing anxiety, not increasing it via financial strain. So to prove my commitment to this concept, I recently sold my decked out YT Industries Izzo. To replace it, I've partnered up yet again with my good friends over at Bikes Online and present to you this 2022 Polygon Siskiyou D6 trail bike. In essence, I got rid of one bike and replaced it with one that's a mere fraction of its cash value. In this video, I'll be committing 10 hours of trail time to this bike in 100% stock form to see what I learn before I perform any classic Cure Cycling build out. Maybe a budget bike like this is all that we really need. Perhaps I've been buying way too much bike all along. Let's find out. It doesn't matter how much a bike costs. For people like us, that giant box hitting the porch just hits different. With that being said, it's time to get this thing assembled. As I anticipated, the bike was packaged with care and a breeze to put together. As a wise man once said, it's time to stare at it. Okay, enough of that. Let's get to the trails. For my inaugural ride, I decided to go to Kohler Mountain Biking Preserve since I could get a good cross-section of the bike's attributes without being too far from the car in the event of any necessary adjustments or mechanicals. Thankfully, over the course of my 2-hour ride, the bike was almost problem-free. More on that in a second. As for the bike's characteristics, I was surprisingly confident on it. The geometry was similar enough to the Izzo that I didn't feel put off. I wasn't riding at my max potential, but I've been on bikes that were way more expensive that did not gel with me at all on a first ride. So there's something to be said for that. The drivetrain got me up any hill I needed despite being only 10 speeds with a max of 46 teeth. Hot take, it turns out you don't really need 12 speeds. The tube tires did have me worried, but they merit more confidence than I was giving them. They actually ran really fast and provided adequate grip. This D6 even has the brakes that historically I talked trash on, the Shimano MT200s. Turns out, if you're very scientific with your bedding process, they're not that bad at all. I did find the entry-level suspension components to be a bit jarring, but perhaps it was my fault during setup. The only issue I had was a creaky headset. My next ride out was in Slaughter Pen. I hit the trails with less air in both the fork and shock, as well as a freshly cleaned and greased headset. This addressed both of my gripes from day one. It was on this ride that I realized I was now riding at my normal potential, and to have gotten to that point so quickly was both a relief as well as a bit of a shock. I was clearing my normal jumps, smashing my normal rock gardens, and even setting some PRs along my day's route. The only notable critique I had for that day wasn't even the tube tires, oddly enough, it was the fork. The stock fork, although air-chambered, has noticeable stiction in its travel. It doesn't help me mentally that the fork also has a sticker on it literally urging riders to not ride it hard. However, it still did a great job mitigating disturbances and supporting my maneuvers on the trail despite its budget-friendly demeanor. By the time my final riding day had come around, I was hitting decent-sized drops with some style, as well as setting PRs on some of my most frequented runs. There's no doubt in my mind that the Polygon Siskiyou D6 can hang with the best. You want to know why? Well, because it did. Overall, I'm blown away by all that I was able to accomplish with this bike in its 100% stock out-of-the-box form. Once upon a time, I thought I was too cool or too good for some of the components featured on this bike. I guess now it's time to brush the dust off the silver fork and the fine china, because guess what? I have to eat my words. Does this mean I'll be keeping this bike completely stock moving forward? Well, I think y'all know me better than that. After all, I was born with a tinker bug that I just can't shake. However, today we have proven the following theory in the name of science. It's now proven that I, and perhaps all of us, buy more bike than we actually need. Please remember to support this channel by subscribing, liking the content, and shopping my links. Make sure to drop a comment below if you want to talk about the D6 some more. I even have a specific link below if you decide the Siskiyou D6 is the right bike for you. Remember that the ride is the cure, and I'll see you next time.